Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am welcoming you to a very special Finance Friday episode with a very special guest who took, after many years of begging and pleading and then an overwhelming support from all of you, he's finally here. It's my husband TJ.
I know you were hoping it was like Gary Vee or Mark Cuban, but it's not.
Next time.
It's me.
Better than those guests. This is my husband TJ. He's the other half of the operation that you guys don't see because he's behind the scenes doing so much to help me with my business. And I just taught him how to ship, so he's going to be doing that for me. He takes care of the kids, he helps cook, he cleans. He's the best. So he is here to answer some of your finance questions. I did a poll on Instagram and an overwhelming number of you in the thousands voted that you wanted to see TJ on a Finance Friday episode to share a little bit more of his background with finance and kind of how he got to the point where he is today.
So I have to give the people what they want. So here I am, thanks to the poll, ready to answer the burning questions.
All right, question number one. What is the first income you ever made?
So I remember when I was a kid, growing up, my mom would always cut our hair, and she didn't know how to do it properly. So she saw on TV a device that would help her called the Flowbee, which revolutionized hair cutting back in the day. You put a cutting device on a vacuum, and then you just stick it on your head and suck up the hair, and it cuts it right off, same length every time. And you just have to, you do this length here, and you try to build it up all over the hair, essentially. It wasn't a good look, but it got the job done. And at first you don't care when you're a kid. You just think, whatever, I don't care what my hair looks like. But as you get older, it gets more and more embarrassing. And so I begged my mom to take me to Great Clips. I say, Mom, it's just $5. Let me go to Great Clips and get a normal haircut. No, she'd say, I'll tell you what. And she cut me a deal. She said, I will give you $5 if you let me cut your hair with the Flowbee. And then we don't have to go to Great Clips, and it's win-win. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So for years, I got $5 a month from my mom for the Flowbee haircut, and I made out like a bandit. $5 adds up. But the person who really made out like a bandit was my mom, who to this day, 30 years later, still cuts her hair with the Flowbee. And I gotta say, she's gotten quite good at it. But that was really the first income I ever made.
Your dad's hair too. She does his dad's
True.
hair. So 30 years, 2 haircuts every month?
Probably. I think when she dies, that's the one, that's gonna be a prized possession I want, is the Flowbee. That better be in the will.
I'll let you handle that. So in light of that story, how was money viewed and handled growing up?
I think that story kind of answers that question. We were pretty self-reliant as a family. We were a do-it-yourself kind of household. We hardly ever went out to eat. I mean, if you went to McDonald's, it must have been like a special occasion. We definitely clipped coupons and did things very economically with cars, with clothes, with supplies, with the things that we chose to do on the weekends. All of it was very economical. We always had our needs in life, but we didn't have a ton of the wants. It was kind of kept to what do we need, what is a necessity, and if it was a want, a lot of times it was, well, that's too expensive. So that was my parents' mentality. They were definitely both savers, and I think they hid it behind the guise of that's too expensive. They had that mindset of let's put money aside for a rainy day.
And to this day, when we go to McDonald's, which is still not super often, do you ever order not off the dollar menu?
They've definitely rubbed off on me. It's hard to buy anything not on the dollar menu. I am my parents' son, so, and I'm sure it drives Ashley crazy.
No.
But
I just tell him he can treat himself. Treat yourself to a non-dollar
I'm just
menu
hungry.
item.
I'm just hungry. The dollar gets it done as good as the $5. So, sorry. It was how I was raised, and it's part of me now.
So did you get secondhand clothes?
Not all the time. I know my mom went to we did a lot of bargain shopping for new clothes, but we definitely did do secondhand clothes as well. I remember one time in school, my mom she handed me a bag of clothes, and she said she bought them all. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I put them on, I went to school and my friends were like, well, hey, I have that exact same shirt. And another friend, I have those same pants, or whatever it was. And I would say, oh, that's awesome. We should twin. And so we had planned to like twin the next day, and they come to school, and I was like, why didn't you wear the shirt? And they'd say, oh, I couldn't find it for some reason. And then another friend, why didn't you wear the pants? Oh, I couldn't find them. And then I put two and two together and realized it was basically all their old clothes from the year before, which was smart because I was smaller than my friends. It fit me totally fine. They were still good clothes. Again, my mom was very economical. Why waste the perfectly good clothes?
And clothes were there to keep you warm. And
yeah,
to dress you.
We were not made to look cool in school. If it kept you warm, mission accomplished.
Yeah. So why was money so tight?
Money was tight because that was the lifestyle my parents chose to live when they were married. I didn't think they had to. I think the frugality was more of a choice than it was a necessity. My parents chose to live lean because they put a lot of value in living below their means so that they could save for a rainy day, because you never know what's going to happen. A car could go out, the house needs a new roof, or a kid could break an arm, now there's a ton of medical bills, or someone could lose a job, things like that. And I think they valued just knowing that everything's going to be fine. We can cover these emergencies if we have to. So they always saved for a rainy day and just chose to live frugally, so they'd have that peace in their heart that they'd be prepared. And I think that brought them more happiness than, the toys or the big house or the fancy cars.
And you guys were happy. Like, I've seen your home movies.
Yeah.
You guys were super happy kids.
I think I had an awesome childhood. And I have other friends that were kind of in my same situation. And we just talk about, like, we had an awesome childhood. You don't need tons of money and all the wants you wanted as a kid to have an awesome childhood. So we definitely were happy, for sure.
Another question was, what was your first real job?
My first job was nothing exciting. I worked at the local Subway as a sandwich artist, was the official title on the resume. And I thought I was really good at it, and it was an enjoyable job. I didn't work there for too long. But the money I made at Subway, I just saved for the most part. I didn't do a lot of spending as a kid. Fast forward a few years, though, my first adult job was, I was in college trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And in between semesters, during the summers, I would go door to door selling pest control. And I think everyone on the planet should have to go through that experience. Some people hate it, some people like it. I liked it.
I would have died.
Ashley
I'd rather would have died. Bury me now. No.
I know Ashley would have been awesome at it, but she didn't do it. You could have been on my team. I would have made a fortune. But yeah, you knock 200 doors a day. It's a numbers game. The more you knock, the more you'll sell. And I had a pretty good 2 summers. I made about $57,000 over those 2 summers. So finally I was at the point in life where, hey, I actually have some real money. I don't have Subway money anymore. I have real adult money. But at this point in my life, I still didn't know what to do with it. So I just saved it like I had always saved it my whole life. I just, stuck it in savings.
Okay, now I know people who've sold pest control alarms, whatever, and have made $0. What do you think was the ticket for your success with that? Because that's hard to do.
With door-to-door sales, it's all a numbers game. If you can hit 200 doors by running instead of 100 doors by walking, you're going to have more sales. I see these guys riding Segways door to door. I'm like, just run. You're going to hit way more doors just running.
So you became a finance major in college along with information systems. You had a dual major, right?
I did.
Okay.
How
did you decide that?
Yeah, when I went back to college after pest control, I was just sniffing around at what major. I had done I had looked at a half dozen majors at this point, and I had just come off this high of selling pest control and making money and getting excited about what to do with it. I had a roommate who had his life all figured out, and I was just kind of wandering around aimlessly, not knowing what to do. And he was going to the business school, and he wanted to go into finance. So I just copied him. I honestly did. That was the thought that went into it. I applied for the school. I got in. I joined the finance program with him, and we kind of did it together. It was pretty fun having friends in the program. Looking back, I'm so glad that I did, because in my opinion, the finance classes at college are by far the most valuable classes I took in school, because no matter what you end up doing in life, whether you're a plumber or a doctor, you're gonna have to learn how to manage money and be smart about how you use your money. And depending on how you do that, you can either be a multimillionaire plumber or you could be a broke doctor. And they don't teach finance in junior high and high school. At least most places I've heard of don't do that. And then everyone goes to college, they take out tons of loans, then they get their first job, then they go buy a new car to celebrate, and then they get a house they can't afford. And then suddenly they're in this awful financial trap where you bought all these things, but there's no money left over at the end of the month to then invest. You're paying off your loans, your house, your cars, your toys, all these things, and you don't have money left over at the end of the month to invest. That's probably the most important thing when it comes to our budget, is having money at the end of the month that we put into the market to build this army of dollars that works for us so we don't have to work until we're 90 years old. That's why I thought the finance classes were so valuable, because it changed my mindset about what money is and how money can work for you instead of just spending it on stuff.
If you can already tell, my money story is a little bit different than TJ's in that my family basically had the opposite mentality. It was when they had money, which was rare, spend it on literally like the stupidest things, even though we needed medical care, dental care, we're getting kicked out of our house, but no, let's go get something stupid or spend money on something ridiculous that depreciates in value immediately. Instead, this is really the right way to go about things with your finances, to save, invest, make your money work for you, because that stuff, I don't remember it. None of it made me happy. None of it made our family happy. It was just stuff that makes you happy for a minute, and then it's gone, it's wasted, and the end of the month comes and you're stressing out. What would you say has helped the most in becoming financially literate?
Having finance as my major in school is definitely a plus for me, but in school it's still all conceptual at that point. The thing that helped me understand finances the most was really just doing it, was actually taking the step to open an account and to put real dollars into that account, because now it's real. Now I'm starting to read more because it's my own money now. I'm starting to pay closer attention to how it works. You start to ask more questions. You start to talk to friends about it, because again, it's your hard-earned money. It's not just conceptual at this point like in school. When you start doing it, you learn so much faster. So if you're scared to invest because you don't know how, or you're not sure how to do it, just start, and start small, obviously. But I promise, if you start small, just start. You will learn as you go. Start with something conservative. Don't put all your money into Bitcoin on day one. My first investment with my pest control money was the S&P 500. I just opened up a Vanguard account. I picked a fund that mirrored what the S&P 500 is doing, and that was a very vanilla investment, but it's really the core. That's one of the core investments to make in any portfolio. You can get more aggressive from there, but that would be a very generic and vanilla place to start learning about how this works.
So that sounds extremely familiar with what I tell people all the time who want to get started with eBay, Amazon, whatever. I can tell you till my face is blue what to do, right? But you'll learn best when you start and actually buy things, list them, sell them, ship them. I can do a shipping tutorial video, I have, but it's just so much easier when you sit down and you do it. I think that's the same concept with finances and the same concept with so many things in life. Possibly the most important question, what do you think are the worst habits people can have with money, and what are the best habits people can have with money?
I think the worst habit is never putting your money to work. Whether that's you're buying stuff on it that you don't really need and never having enough to invest at the end of the month, or putting it all in a savings account where you have this massive savings account, but that's not really putting it to work for you. You want to have money in an emergency fund, but above a certain point, you don't need to keep adding it to that savings account, getting 0.1% interest. That's not really putting the money to work for you. I think it's sad when people blow their money on dumb stuff instead of investing it. You can have fun things, but I think it's not at the expense of giving up your investments. I think that's a poor decision and a bad habit to have. I think it's a real tragedy when people just put all their money in like a savings account, because while it was wise that you didn't blow it on things you didn't need, you're trying to save it for a rainy day. It's sad to think like what it could have been if you just moved it into an investment account instead of just sitting in a savings account. Maybe like a story that kind of highlights that. 45 years ago when my mom started working as a teacher, she took $3,000 of her money and she bought like some kind of prepaid burial insurance of sorts, where basically she pays $3,000 now. When she dies in the future, they'll cover her funeral and her coffin and whatever. It's $10,000 or something like that is probably what a funeral costs. So she invested $3,000 45 years ago. She actually got a call from the bank saying, we don't honor that anymore. And this was just a couple years ago. We don't honor that anymore. So we will give you back the $3,000 to make it right. And it made me sick to think that that was how they're making it right. Because in the market, money tends to double every 7 years. And if she just invested that $3,000 in the market 45 years ago, doing the math, I came out with $192,000. If it doubles, what is that, 6 or 7 times that money could have been? Because that's the power of investing. It can grow and grow and grow and do a massive amount. And it's kind of hard to get your head around, but that's the reality of the math when it comes to investing. And so it just broke my heart to see she gets $3,000 back 45 years later because they don't honor that anymore. That just highlights what a bad habit it is to not invest, and what can happen to your money when you just have it sitting there instead of being invested in the market. I think the best habit you can have when it comes to money is just having this mindset of you want your money to work for you, and you want to be aware of where your money's going. Every month, I think you should look at your finances. Are you in the red for the month, or are you in the green? I think when you can visually see what's coming in and going out each month, you can easily become more aware of bad habits that you have with money, and then pivot and get back on track with the good habits you want to reinforce.
Because we've all, well, me, have gone to like Target. We go to the checkout and we just thought we got a few fun home decor items and it's $600, or I just want a snack at the gas station, or I just want a drink. I mean, all of that stuff does add up, and it's not that it's a bad thing. But if you're looking at your month and you're kind of seeing, oh wow, that added up to a lot more, and what could that money have been doing for me if I had just said no to that, or had just, made a drink for myself at home. Again, it's not bad, but can you afford it? How are your finances looking month over month? Are you growing? Are you improving? Or are you staying the same? And I think those little habits do add up over time, and they can either put you on the right track or put you on a bad track of spending without even thinking. Okay, that does it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Special thanks to TJ for joining me in this video. He is the other half, the invisible half that you guys don't see. So glad he was able to answer some questions, and I don't even have to say I hope it helped. I know it helped because it's definitely blessed our family. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for videos every week on how to grow your business from home, and every Friday we talk about managing your money well. Thanks again, you guys. Take care, and I will catch you next time.